Hello, everyone, and welcome to the POST-NYSC Career Compass webinar series. Today, we are going to be bringing you a very key speaker for those who are interested in the creative and technology career pathway. I am Oyeleye Samuel, your anchor for today, and with me, I have Mr. Leye Ogunsanya, who will also introduce himself. This series is brought to you by the Public Policy and Governance Impact Lab of the Emerging Leaders Collective. You will get more information about it so that you can be a part of it next year. But today, we are going to focus on creative and technology pathway for after your NYSC. And without further ado, I will hand over to Mr. Leye Ogunsanya to tell us a bit about himself, and then we will go into the question and answer session. So Mr. Leye Ogunsanya, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and it is so good to have you. So please tell us about yourself for those who don't know you.
My name is Oyeleye Ogunsanya. I mean, that's the official name, but the unofficial one is Leye. So Oyeleye Ogunsanya. I'm the lead designer at RiseVest Investment Technology, Nigeria and the US. I'm a product designer, but economics by training and education, undergraduate and postgraduate. So postgraduate MSc, I'm a PhD dropout. So yes. Did economics, and it's an absolute honor to be here before you all and then to address you. I also am a recipient of the Global Talent by the UK government last year for technology and design.
Thank you so much. Like, you can already see that you're talking to one of the young experts in technology. So yes, we're going to go right into the questions. So Leye, please, I would like you to first speak to the mindset of the youth. So the audience you're speaking to, as you already know, are youths, Nigerian youths. Some of them have just finished NYSC, some of them are going through NYSC, and some who will watch later will probably not even have started NYSC yet. And you know, there is an issue with the mindset, especially when you're in Nigeria. We both know this because we have both been there. And I want you to speak to them like, what is the right mindset for a youth who is transitioning out of school, transitioning out of NYSC into, let me call it, the opportunity market? Because it's not just about jobs. There are a lot of pathways they can go through. What are the mindsets that they should actually imbibe that will help their journey?
So I think it's a general thing for most management companies. They delineate mindsets into two major parts. And that bifurcation is important because it sort of sets apart people who are agentic and people who aren't. So the two mindsets that I know are primarily common, and all management folks are very conversant with, is the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. So the fixed mindset is usually set. You absorb data and you interpret it, and you believe that this is how it will always be. Nothing is going to change about your inputs. And so your interpretation of that certain data doesn't need to change because the data is fixed. Your knowledge of the world is fixed. Your outlook on life is fixed. Your general interpretation and approach to life also is fixed. That's the fixed mindset. It really changes, very hard to change. And in some instances, it's good. It's good for forming your opinion, forming principles, but opinion about things and people in itself that changes, or events and situations that are not necessarily stable, requires you to have a group mindset. A group mindset means that you are constantly feeding on information that refines your outlook, refines your philosophy, refines your perception, refines your gaze, refines your interpretation of events. It helps you reinterpret how you engage with things, with people, because the world we are in is constantly tilting. Even the world is not set in stone. It's not fixed. The world is constantly tilting. On a certain revolution, it keeps moving. So you sort of realize that it's only a growth mindset that can help you achieve the kind of unprecedented success you need to survive in this world. Even help you achieve the skill, help you achieve the kind of networking, the connection, the people, the processes the platforms, you need a growth mindset. A growth mindset is what you have to constantly feed it information. And then when you are confronted with superior or qualitative information, you reevaluate your position on things. You reevaluate your position on matters. So you feed yourself with information that helps you understand the world around you better and helps you interact with it from a more advantageous standpoint in such a way that you are both contributing value and you're helping every other person unpack a lot of value simultaneously. So a growth mindset is one of the things that helps you achieve that. What do I mean by a growth mindset? You say that, oh, the world is flat, but in the light of superior information that you intentionally or unintentionally come across. One of the traits of a growth mindset is like they go in lockstep. People who usually have a growth mindset are usually avid readers. And when I mean readers, I don't necessarily mean that you have to buy books to read, but you are constantly in search of information. You don't just wait. You are not sitting duck for information to find you. You are the cause. You are always active, certainly looking for how to make things improve, how to make things better. In a sense, it's like the story a friend, a very senior colleague told me. He said pessimists usually don't make they don't make new findings. They don't make progress. Why? Because they catastrophize all of the possible outcomes of life. They maintain the status quo. But the people who make progress, who help us experience new vistas on horizons, they are people who are usually optimists. They believe that it can get better, it will be better, and then they launch themselves in that direction. So yeah, it's almost the same thing when I say people with growth mindsets are usually high agentic people. They're execution buyers. They take initiative. They don't wait for all of the facts to be apparent before they act. They are able to act in spite of not having clarity. So they are not qualities that exist in isolation. Growth mindsets. That's the way.
Thank you very much. And for the audience, Mr. Leye can be a very philosophical person. So let me try to bring it home to an extent. So that growth mindset, like he has said, it's what I hear from what you have said is being proactive. That as a youth, as a core member, someone out of school, you're not going to be waiting for information to find you. You will go out there to look for them. You go out there to look for the opportunities, for the platforms where they are, and you will always try to be at the cutting edge to upskill yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's
Mr.
far
Leye.
better than the way I put it here. Thank you very much.
So just going off from there, since most of them are out of school, most of the audience are out of school, what levers do you think education gives you? Especially since the creatives is a two-part way. Some people study to be creatives, like they study computer engineering and all of that, but you still speak to, what exactly is creatives. But then for some people, they don't, like yourself. You study economics and you even have a master's degree in it, but you are in the creatives and technology sector. So what would you say that education did for you, which the youth should also hold close beyond just the certificate they have?
So education is one of the things I'll describe as while you are having it, you probably might not appreciate it until you are done with it. And then you realize that you're actually not done. You have only been armed with the apparatus to now do yours. Because the real learning starts post official academics. The real learning starts when you're in the real world. So, but let me not go too far. Let me not run ahead of myself. So one of the things education does for you, education brings you across people who are like-minded. You see people, it helps you to be incredibly social in a sense, social within a definite scope of environment. It helps you to see from multiple lenses. It helps you to see people from multiple prisms. That is one of the things education does for you. Education brings you before people with superior knowledge, people who are more advanced in understanding than you are. Education brings you before great minds in the form of written documents. One of the things education does to you, education helps you on how you reason, how you approach life. And these are the things you would not notice. It sort of instills a prism inside you. It gives you a lens with which you must view the world and approach it. For context, let me segue a bit. I remember when I was doing my research and I had to take a course during university. I think you didn't learn for context. And I remember taking a course on research and how to ask non-leading questions during research. And I never knew how important that lesson will be for me until when at my workplace we were doing user experience research. And when I was reading through the guidelines, it said again how to ask, you must ensure you don't ask non-leading questions so the users will not know what you are trying to find out, because people naturally will give you what you want, and that's not the way you get quality information. So for context, if I want to ask you how much you save per month, I will not ask you what's your saving. Enter the box. Saving is a virtue, so everybody would probably just enter a fictitious figure or a figure that doesn't exist. You just put something there to just move on. But if I ask you, explain to me how you spend your income. You see, if you actually save, you will mention it. If you don't mention how you spend your income, if you don't mention saving as part of the line entries in how you spend your income, then you don't save. I don't need to ask you, so, but do you save? You probably will tell me yes, because it's a virtue, you're virtue signaling, and we don't want it to virtue signal. So I'll just ask you, explain to me how you spend your income. Because it's an open-ended question, you don't know what I'm trying to fetch from your response. So those are one of the things academics do to you. It gives you a structured approach to inquire into life, and not necessarily because you are going to take UX interviews or because you are trying to do research generally. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that one of the strong suits is that it instills in you a methodological approach to inquire, to document, and to engage. So it's not necessarily about your credential. It matters. It does matter. We'll come back to that. But it's not necessarily about that alone. That's not just your defining traits. Your luck and destiny is not sealed because of whatever you graduated with. One of the things that academics does to you, which is far more important than what it does for you, is it gives you the tool to continue your learning. So that it also ties back to the question you asked. So you know how to learn yourself now. The growth mindset, you become an institution unto yourself. I hope I'm not waxing philosophical. You start learning. Academics help you to learn. You learn how to learn. You learn how to take in information, how to codify your learning, and you learn how to interpret, or you learn how to elucidate on what you have learned. Why? Because you take exams, and in exams you are meant to prove a point that, oh, this thing, can you explain it? Can you expound it in your own words, contextually, in your own setting, from your own perspective, in your own view? How would you demonstrate? How would you highlight? How would you explain? So it makes you much more aligned to experience unprecedented progress on a personal note. Why? Because you are not just tied to whatever you came out of school with. You now have within your power the ability to do a self-continuous learning, more or less like autodidactic learning. You continue in a self-directed manner to learn. So what academics do to you, which is what schooling does to you, is far more important than what it will do for you. And that's why you must really, really be very, very conscious. Sorry for just repeating the terms. You must be very, very conscious of the fact that your learning starts post-university. I'm insisting on, which I know people have varied and colored experiences about their learning institutions, their universities, polytechnics, and wherever institutions you learn from. And for some people, it's great. For some people, it's not so great. For some people, it's just tepid and regular. Whichever category you fall into, my reassurance for you is that I'm not frankly moved by what academic pedigree you are on. I'm much more moved by what has that school done to you. What has it changed about your ability to reason, ability to reevaluate information, ability to perceive, ability to form logical conclusions and sound judgment? How do you quickly reach it? How do you query things? Those are the things that are far more important to me, much more than whatever you came out of school. What you came out of school, it too matters, please. It's proof that you are whatever you say you are. That's proof. And sometimes we just need proof. We don't have the bandwidth to wait around and see whether you're lying or not. So yeah, I want to stop here that academics and your schooling, your learning, they are meant to furnish your mind, help you get an outlook on how to reason, how to think. They are tools not just to show that you have gone through school, but that school through has also gone through you. You are much more refined in your understanding of things, how you handle complexities, how you handle things that are not necessarily coherent, how you uncover, how you query, how you even research. Yes, I'm left school a long time ago. Okay, not so long a time ago. I just dropped out of my PhD recently. But yeah, you still, nobody should drop out of their PhD, please. You still learn how to it teaches you how to uncover, how to research. And that's something that is very invaluable. You would always need it across different contexts, different settings, and different time in life. Let me stop here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Education is important and it helps you to begin your learning journey, which actually begins after the university. Thank you so much. So now into the gist of the day.
Okay.
The creatives and technology sector. Can you tell us a bit about your journey in the creative sector? And as you tell us a bit about your journey, can you also then define it, especially the aspect you're speaking to, because we know that creatives is very broad. Thank you.
I'll start by I mentioned earlier, area of interest usually soon become area of competence if you stay long on your curiosity path. When your curiosities are very actionable, your area of interest soon becomes your area of competence or area of expertise in some other cases. So while I was in university, I had this terrible habit. It's terrible then because I would say terrible from other people's perspective, but for me it was very normal. There was a very logical consistency to my action. And what do I mean? I again, like I said earlier, I attended university. So when I was going through a walkway, I would see poster designs on the public boards, the boards where they announce events and all. And sometimes to get attention, I mean, it's an attention market, and you know how crowded it is. There's usually a lot of foot traffic in that region. So you have to put multiple posters so people sort of see it from a various angles, from their peripheral vision on their focal vision. They're able to get a glimpse of the information you're cutting across. So I noticed I started gaining interest. I think it was 300 level, 200 level, 300 level. I started gaining interest in well-designed posters. My eye was picking up patterns in the designs that these things are well aligned. You can almost see the line with which this was aligned to. I like the colors. The colors are very harmonious. I like how bold the text are. So it gradually started that while I go for classes, when I'm coming back, I like what I see. When I move past it, I just come back. I unpin one, put it inside my bag, then go with it. So it became a habit where I'll take flyer designs or poster designs just on pin, and they were really creative. They were crazy creatives then. So very creatively designed. I would take, and then I started having a stash of it in my wardrobe in the hostel. So my roommate would always wonder that I hope a screw is not loose. This thing is not normal. Nobody goes out and comes in with poster designs. Why are you bringing it to the room? This thing is dead. And I was like, no, I just love staring at it. So it was curiosity for me. I loved those designs and I would just stare at them. And I started realizing that my curiosity was not just scoped to poster designs. I love things that are well crafted. And it moved on from poster designs to product design. Product design as in physical products, and then UI UX, user interface, how we interface with product. And I started realizing to my own shock that the world around me is really a curation of people who are really passionate about what they do. I'm surrounded by a lot of items that are a product of people's passion. People really, really love what they do. And the world is really a museum of passion. You are surrounded by people's passion projects. And you can tell when people are not passionate about what they do. If you buy a mug that was poorly done, it will last long. You know that this person optimized for profit over passion. So things like that. So it just dawned on me that the world is put together by people who really are zealous and are competent. They love what they do and they are really good at what they do. And I really wanted to contribute to this. So it was more or less like an awakening period for me. It was 300 level, 400 level. I remember it vividly. I just became charged, interested, but again, it was mere fiery curiosity, nothing serious. I was still occupied. I was still a student and I was still very occupied in every other activities then in school. When I graduated, and then people noticed I became, yes, this should be on record. People noticed I became interested in poster designs. The people who design poster designs in my hostel started showing me their designs for feedback. And I couldn't design, but they knew I'd seen a lot of designs. And I started pattern matching. And from there, they were like, okay, look at this. What do you think? And I'm like, this doesn't. So I couldn't articulate in specificity what makes a design compelling then. All I will tell you is that this it doesn't feel like it
Does
here.
it feel good?
It was such a very vague response. Such a very vague and layered response. Open-ended. I said, this doesn't, I don't feel what I feel. So that was my initial. I said, there's something, a design should make you feel. It shouldn't just communicate, it should pull you in. And once it's able to do that, you have achieved something very significant, because it's not just communication, you are bridging, it's proximity, you are bridging the distance between you and that person. The person feels like something important is going on and I want to be a part of it. So I started giving feedback. And that feedback went well into my NYSC that you people currently are on now. So during NYSC, I'm a Christian, so I was part of NCCF. I have a very good friend who designed posters, and it's one thing to observe people designing from a distance or see posters and take a piece of it and take it to your apartment, to your hostel rather. It's another thing to actually see someone beside you design it from scratch, and you are realizing that this thing is really not far off. It's not something, it's not far-fetched. It's something that is actually very possible. I can do this if I actually put myself to it. So seeing someone doing it close to me made me realize how realistic it is. It made it tangible. I appreciated design from an onlooker, a distant, a passerby, an interested third-party perspective. But seeing someone design up close, it was just shilling out design week in, week out. And I was like, I can do this. So I just submitted to him that I would really like to learn. He's an architect, so that was my advantage. I learned from someone who from an academic and institutional perspective, is even meant to know how to design. So it's not that it's just passion for him. He's an architect, he must know how to draw with precision and all. So he taught me design, and that was what I needed. That was like the rocket fuel I needed to take off. It galvanized me into what it means to design. So I started learning design, and I realized this is what I want to do. No, I did not realize this is what I want to do for a living, but I just realized that I like being here. This is what I want to do. So I downloaded Pinterest and started looking at designs from everybody from everywhere. So I'm a multidisciplinary designer. I can do any and most of kind of designs except 3D. I'm still learning that. So icon design, illustration, brand development, product design, even a bit of character development and all. So all kind of designs. I started practicing. It was the most unstructured approach to learning. I didn't have a guideline, I'm learning this for the next 4 months. I just kept learning. Yeah, there's this thing they say about ostrich, that when they bury their head, they just assume there's no danger around them again because they can't see the danger. I was literally like that. I had no thought for my future because I was just immersed in design. I just wanted to learn how to design. I wanted to create the designs I was seeing people create. So it was just pure unfiltered passion. I was running on wild passion. I didn't need to make money with it. I just wanted to know how to design. And so I started doing design, and that was my foray into design. However, when I started doing design, I posted a design on my status. A friend saw it, loved it, and then told his pastor that someone does design, or would they? And that was how I got my first client, who paid me, I remember, 3,000 naira for design. No, 2,000 naira initially, and then 2,000 naira was a lot of money then. I'm not old or ancient, but I mean, it was like 2017, 2018, yeah. So it was a lot of money there. It was even higher than the money I was paid at my PPA. My PPA initially gave me 1,000, then moved it up. I was a teacher at my PPA. I loved it, so I didn't mind. Then increased it to 3,000, and then the money I make in my PPA a month became the money I was charging for my flyers. I made like 3 or 4 a week. So that's how I started making money, and from design, which was not the initial intended goal. I just wanted to learn how to design. People were telling me my designs were good, so I was getting referrals that I did not initiate, and that's how we started. People started saying, "Let it handle design." I was not the only designer, by the way. There were a lot of designers around me, yeah, but I got references, I got referrals, and that's how I started. And the pastor I did designs for traveled to Italy, and he attended the church in Italy, and he saw the poster design for their Sunday flower and was like, I actually know a boy in Nigeria that does poster design. And then I think that was the first time I charged, I think, was it not 15,000 naira for poster design, and I was making like 3-4 for them per week. And he's a chartered accountant. So he left, he went to China. The pastor went to China, saw the church there too, he's a redeemed pastor, said, I know somebody, and that's how he kept announcing me. That's how I started getting international gigs. So I did not really use talent pool networks like the regular ones designers use, where they just go and then they start working out so that the algorithm recommends them to international clients. I was being recommended by someone who traveled to these countries. So that's how I started getting paid. And then from doing 3,000 poster designs per week or more, I started doing 15, 20, 30,000 for 2-3 different institutions, church, non-religious, religious institutions, 3-4, 15, 20, 15, 20, 30, like that. So in a month, I started raking in roughly 400, 500,000 just from doing designs. I'm usually just stuck in front of my laptop. I mean, as at that time, I was just usually stuck in front of my laptop working, and I just realized after NYSC, oh, by the way, I'm also very proficient in desktop publishing. Sorry I'll wrap up and move on now. So I'm very proficient in desktop publishing. I know how to use Microsoft Suites well. So I took a class, people paid 3,000. There was something with me at 3,000 that period, I'm sorry. People paid 3,000. So I was teaching a girl who I think she was about to enter one with Big Four. I think it was PwC or KPMG, I can't remember vividly. So she needed to learn analytical skills, and one of them was Excel. It was a requirement. So I said, oh, no, I know how to use Excel to an advanced level. I'll teach you it, lookup, VLOOKUP, pivots, and macros. But we can go from easy to hard. I can take it from ground up. So my hunger to learn how to become very proficient in the use of technology made me learn desktop publishing. That is Microsoft Word, Excel, and a bit of database while I was in university. So that was what I used to pass time when I had nothing else I was doing. And I became proficient in 4 years, very proficient. I taught bankers to then in Akure. So I taught her, and then from teaching her, I did not know that it was a thing then that a lot of people, so I didn't know that when they get the opportunity to enter Big Four or graduate trainee, there's like a group chat. That's to let you know I was living like a hermit, like a monk. Even when I was 7, I didn't know so much. You shouldn't be like that, by the way. None of you should be like that. So she just went to tell our group chat that, oh, no, so something happened. They sent a task and she was able to solve it. And they asked her, she said, oh, there's this person I know in my service place in Accra who is teaching me. And from there, they asked her how much. She was paying 3,000. And she knew, she told me she didn't have a lot of money. And I told her it's fine that as long as she's willing to learn, I'm much more willing to teach her that. If she did not even pay, I still will have taught her. It's an opportunity to dust my Excel skills that I've not used in a long time, and Microsoft Documents and all. So it's an opportunity to actually teach her for free. But she said she will pay me 3,000. So she told those people 5,000. And they just said, full full Word document and Excel. She said, yes, he will keep teaching you till he leaves. I think I said like 6 months then during my service here. And that was how I got from taking one person, the class grew to 30 people. She was the only person paying 3,000, but none of them. The rest were paying 5,000. So I actually graduated as I finished service a millionaire actually. I was making money from design during the day. Then on weekends, we'll go for full-blown Excel classes. The place where I taught, I told you I was earning 3,000 where I taught St. Martin's Anglican Secondary School, Akure. You can all go and check it out. So because I was dutiful from 1,000 to 3,000, I love teaching, by the way. I keep telling people that if I were not a designer, I probably would be a teacher. That's why I went far in academics, thinking I'll end up becoming a lecturer. So I started teaching the students, and I had read about behavioral science a bit. I mean, I read economics, so I know about human behavior to a large extent. So I gamified my teaching. Maths has to be something you want to learn. So the students spoke to their mom about me. The parents came to the school, and then that was what made my salary go from 1,000 to 3,000. It was during PTA meeting. And then one of the ways the school could show me they really appreciated my effort was that they said, oh, since you are taking classes, or that you can, after you're done with your service here, you can continue, we'll give you a whole class that you can continue to use for your, just ensure that it is after school hours. And the gate man will always allow you in, and then your students will wear ID card. They can always come here. And so that's why I got free venue to always teach Microsoft end-to-end. And yeah, they were gracious enough to give me some gadgets too, so to teach with the projector. So I thought I still stayed 3 months till after my service year was done. I still stayed 3 months because I had to help them do exam preps, be ready for their graduate training. And then that's how I made a lot of money from teaching Microsoft document, and then made money Microsoft Word, Excel, Word and Excel primarily, and a bit of Google too. And then made a lot of money from doing designs during the day. And TLDR, I was sitting on a lot of money after service here. This is the boy who people mocked for earning 1,000 naira. I had a friend who was earning 20,000 naira then. She was serving in the Ondo agency, the government agency. So whenever she sees me and I say I'm earning 1,000 naira, she just look at me like, videos might. It sounded funny, but I just sort of, it wasn't about the money, passion. So I know it's a trite saying. You must have had a lot of people say it. Passion, passion. It wasn't about profit. That's why I said your area of interest soon becomes area of expertise if you sustain your curiosity. If curiosity is not swallowed by the vicissitudes of life, the need to become realistic, if you pursue your curiosity. Yeah, so that was how I said, okay, there's a lot of money I have. I don't think I got an offer to come and be head of a IT in I think, yeah, it's a medical university in Ondo, if I remember vividly, to come and be head of IT. And I just figured that I looked at it, and this is where it is important for you to be very, very honest with yourself. I felt it was premature that the head of IT is a good role. I mean, my parents will be proud. Those are the kind of things they prayed for. But and this is also the non-regular kind of conversation I'll be having with you now, that sometimes you have to know when things feel superfluous. They don't move the needle in your career path. And this also I'll tie with the conversation with clarity as we advance further. I just knew that this is not what I want to do. I don't want to sit in an office and line up in the bureaucratic process of trying to grow or experience growth. The salary was competitive. They were willing to pay me 250. It was 250 to 320 as at then. This was 2018. 250 to 320 salary. And I had more in my bank account. So I just figured that no, I don't want this. And the man thought I was crazy because they had a lot of people. If you know Ondo, you know it's a civil servant state. So there were a lot of people he had, and I said, "Sir, I'm sorry." He felt I still remember his face till today. It was the MD, the medical director. He thought I was crazy. When I told him, I don't think this is, I said to him, I don't think my personal goal aligns with the company's goal. And he was like, "Excuse me." I said, "Do you know how many people are waiting online?" So I knew I still wanted to read. I'm really a fan of knowledge. I do not want to quickly claim that I'm a bibliophile or something, but I really wanted to read and advance in knowledge of economics. So I just entered UI. And when I entered UI, I think it was when I was about to wrap up my MSc, I knew that I probably will be doing this for the rest of my life. So I'd better just double down and learn it as professionally as possible. Because even while I was in UI, clients, I did not reach out. People were I always got strange numbers. Oh, I heard you design this. I want you to design this for us. And it just felt surreal that this thing of just doing design actually made me a lot of money early, a lot of money early. And then that's when I became exposed to value. That the talent you have in the right market will be treasured. You always need to expose yourself to the right market. This is what I tied back to the growth mindset I also mentioned. I started realizing that in Nigeria, people pay me 2,000, 3,000, even 5,000. I have to justify why I will collect 5,000. But outside there, people were paying me in a higher currency. And when I convert to Naira, it's a lot of money. And then I was lucky enough for a studio reached out to me on Instagram and said they have seen my growth journey. They would like me to work for them. And then I started touching proper money. But I like to stop it. That is the summary, not so long summary of how I ventured into design. So it's something I discovered along the way that, okay, I really want to do this. I might want to do this for the rest of my life. Or I might want to do this for the foreseeable future. And I might not want to actually end up in CBN because I read economics.
Thank you so much. Like, this was so refreshing. And I love the fact that you touched on so many things at the same time. And it's more relatable because we hear you speak it in your story. Thank you so much. So just to lead you down that path again, I love the fact that you mentioned passion. But I want you to really speak to that clarity. You mentioned it because, most people in finishing school, NYSC, they don't really know, what path do I take? How do I know what I really want? especially when I have to deal with bills, especially when maybe I'm the only breadwinner in my family and I really have to be realistic, you know. So how do you then deal with that clarity, knowing what part of a creative you want to be, or knowing when some offers are just not for you? You know, I think that's also a question that I'd love you to speak to. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for me. So one of the things I'll say about clarity can be elusive, but when you grasp it, you grasp it. It's almost like a child waking up, seeing his colleague and is asking, when will I also grow up? Or seeing elderly colleagues and he's saying people who are probably like 6, 7 years older than I say, when will I be as old as that? When will I grow up like that? You just ensure you go a day at a time. Eat your food when you're meant to eat your food, sleep when you're meant to sleep, exercise when you're meant to exercise. Carry on with your day. At some point, you look back and realize that you have actually become the grown-up adult and you are no longer the child I was wondering. One of the things I realized is that clarity comes in action. You have to keep acting. You don't just sit and stand and start asking, what next? Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you have to start acting before you realize what you don't want to do. I did economics long to the point where I realized that, okay, I don't want to continue doing economics from an academic standpoint. I want to now abstract and apply everything I've learned and infuse it into design, why I just pursue design primarily now. So sometimes you have to stay long at a place for you to realize you don't want to be there. Or you have to stay long at it and then realize this is what you want to double down. But what you don't do is stay idle. You don't get information by being idle. It is when you act, you get new information. When I mean by act, when you act, you realize, okay, this is who I am. No, I don't like the outcome of this. Okay, what can I change about the variable involved in this outcome? Is it that I don't like the outcome because of the process, or I don't entirely like both the process and the outcome and I'd rather do something else? Those are information, those are data points that you don't come about just being idle. And sometimes I would like to also say clarity is not what you get from just advice. It's a two-way thing. Some advice needs to be very contextual. They need to come from a place of the person understanding you well and understanding your niche situation. If not, you are going to be putting a square peg in a round hole. It won't fit. So clarity has to be something that is, how do I explain it? It's a byproduct of action. It's a byproduct of you always in motion, you always having to act. If you sit on a spot, don't mistake it with reflecting. You should reflect. You should ask, what next? You should ask, I am in point A, how do I get to point B? You are reflecting. Clarity is what you uncover as you journey. Clarity comes in bits. Sometimes it doesn't come as well. And sometimes it comes as well. You may be lucky. You may know exactly what you need to do to get to where you want to get to. But I'm just saying that, yes, you are right on the whole, but you may be wrong on the margins. You might need to fine-tune your approach at some point. You know you want to be, you don't want to be where you are now. How do you get to where you want to be? You start acting. You are reflecting on what you need to do there. But clarity comes as you keep acting. So like I told you, friend, it comes in bits. It doesn't usually come as for example, I got an Apple invite. I knew I wanted to be able to go anywhere I want to in the world. And if I want to travel to anywhere in the world, I want to travel without restriction. I got an Apple invite last year, and while I got the Apple invite last year, I went to the embassy. I mean, it didn't work out. I mean, as Nigerians, you know what I mean. It didn't work out, and for me, at that point in time, I got clarity. I'm just giving it that I cannot continue to reside in Nigeria if I know I want to travel to anywhere in the world for tech-related activities. That there will always be that friction until the systems improve or the institutions become very independent or improved. That I need to plug myself in an environment where things like my own pathways or things like that are definitively applicable to me are fostered or encouraged. So that clarity came. It was like a rush of light in a dark place that I can't stay. No matter how much I love the country, no matter how Pan-African I am in my outlook, I can't reside in Nigeria. And nobody needed to tell me. I started making applications, and then I got my global talent visa to come to the UK. So in the same vein, I used to do a lot of different kind of designs initially, but I did product design was what I would call, I sometimes dedicated 20% of my effort to it. It was more of brand development, illustration and so and all. But there was a day a client reached out to me and said he wants me to do product design, and the amount he paid me was, I'm not exaggerating, all the money I made from uh, um,
Graphic.
graphics and brand development cumulatively was added together to just give me one UI UX. I'm not saying go and do UI UX. I mean, people who are studios are making crazy money from brand design if you're interested in design. Was just once, and I realized that if I channel, I know, I mean, I'm incredibly good at, I don't mean to toot my own, but I consider myself fairly good at brand design and brand development. But I said, oh, if I channel this energy into a product, I'll make probably 3, 4, or 10 times the amount I'm making. And my responsibilities were increasing then. And that was it. So clarity comes in bits. And sometimes it comes all of a sudden, it just hits you. But if you are not acting, if you are not taking action, and taking action means that you may be wrong. It's also data. You are using it to refine your outlook. Oh, this thing I did, this investment doesn't make sense. You won't try it again. You will go and do something else. So clarity is not just something that you wake up middle of the night, 3 a.m. and you're wondering that, oh, I now understand it. It's when you keep acting, when you keep moving. It's in the motions of life, the daily motions. You start realizing, okay, no, this doesn't work. No, this works. So it's like you are like a child who is playing with fire. You will not, it doesn't come pre-configured for you to know what fire is. It is when you put your hand close, it's data now. That action produces data that, okay, no, heat. This kind of thing produces heat. Don't put your hand close to it again. It's a knowledge that helps you refine how you behave when you're around anything that has heat or that emits heat. So my point is that clarity is not just like an epiphany. Again, don't mistake it with a lack of reflection. Reflect, think back on your actions, and then match it to the outcome. Does it track one-to-one? What were the things that made it possible? What were the things that did not make it possible? How can you refine it? So clarity is not just something that will come all of a sudden. You don't finish NYSC and all of a sudden you know what you will do next. Sometimes we are all like that. You finish NYSC and you're thinking, I want to be the world best tailor. Yes. At the end of the day, you might be the world best accountant. I know a lot of people who did accounting, came out and they are selling one of the finest parfait in Ibadan. I know people who also finished school, did engineering. They are one of the finest leather works guys I know in Lagos. So sometimes what you think you are going to end up doing might not be the reality you experience. As you keep navigating through life, you start realizing that you keep refining. I mean, we stand back to everything I've discussed. The clarity comes in bits. They are like pointers or road landmarks on your road to guide you to a desired outcome. So you must know where you want to get to as a whole. And then clarity is your landmarks to help you get there. It might not be a straight path. It's usually not a straight path. It's usually not a straight path. So clarity are your landmarks, your pointers on the road as to where you get. So it's not a map you hold on to guide you. There are pointers you find out on the road. And for some people, they are lucky enough. They know exactly what they will do, and they have the resources within their approach or within their reach to get there. It's usually not the same for everybody. I hope I was not too abstract.
No, please, you were able to drive it home. Thank you. I'll also just point out, things I learned from just listening to your story. You talked about passion, but I also pointed out excellence and how excellent work distinguishes itself. As a youth, don't settle for mediocrity. This is the time that you can throw in yourself to do excellent work. He was saying he didn't have to go on a platform to apply to work abroad. You never know who your work is getting to and who can bring you to the platform that you are actually looking for. So take everything you do, even if it's the person you feel like, there's this tendency that youth have to say, I'm going somewhere. This place is not it. So I'm just cruising by here. And I saw that where you talked about your NYSC. You said you're a teacher. Many NYSC students and the core members, most of them are posted to schools. And then there's that tendency to say, this is not where I want to be. Let's just do this and get out. But for you, you were able to bring in passion, excellent work to the school. You were able to bring that quality teaching. You were able to bring your design and all of those things into it, making the process interesting. And it still opened doors for you afterwards.
Yeah.
So for you listening, it's the same for you, and then he spoke about value and the right market. Are you a valuable person? Are you looking to what you can do during this period to upskill yourself? He started his design journey during NYSC. He saw somebody design it. Who taught him? It means you can start where you are. You can leverage where you are.
Absolutely.
And then it will take you on that path to where you want to be. So thank you so much, Ogali. Like I'm learning a lot just listening to you, and especially how clarity is not a straight path because many youths are often afraid of the uncertainty. But I think it's important to understand that it's part of life. Many times you don't know what's next, but clarity does not come when you are idle. It doesn't come when you're static. No, you have to have that great mindset to say, where is the place to go? For example, you said when you started to learn, you went to Pinterest.
Yes.
So you were able to identify, I can find images on Pinterest, and you don't have to pay money for that.
Yeah.
No. So the same, like there is something you can do immediately. You can always start from where you are. Whether you have studied computer engineering, you have the technical skills to go into it, or you have just picked an interest, or yours is just, I go where the money is, and there's a lot of money here and I want to make it. You will not enter into it by staying idle. You will enter into it by being proactive. So thank you so much, Mr. Leye. And then again, for the career part, you talked about how you did unstructured learning and you were able to master it in about 4 years. I know there's a saying that you can master anything in, is it 5 years or there's a specific number of hours it takes to master
10,000 hours to master.
And I know one thing you have always said is that when you have passion or interest in it, you won't even know when the hours pass because you're just going to be so invested in it. So can you speak a bit to like the career path for creatives, because it's kind of very different compared to others.
Another thing is that the creative field is expanding, is being redefined, and then there's the technological part to it, so that needs to be emphasized. So yeah, I like to say that for everybody is different. For me, I'm a designer. That's my unit of competence. That's the vector that I really was embedded in. But for you, it might not be. For you, it might be tailoring. For you, your creative field might be something entirely. It could be creative writing, even in the age of AI. And this is where originality and authenticity matters. But we'll come back to that. So creativity is a blanket language. It can mean anything for anybody in any place. But one thing you can't take away is that it allows you to bring a fresh perspective. It allows you, that's why you can say someone was very creative. You cannot just use it as a noun, you can use it as a verb that, you are describing something. The person was, you can as both as a verb to take action, or you can use it to describe something that has been done. Now, someone was creative with his approach, or this is a creative person. So creativity is very wide. And because it is very wide, it's something we need to be very careful with our interpretation of it. When I say you need to be creative, or in your journey of creativity, or when I say you're in the creative field, whatever your chosen path is, for you, it could even be music. I'm just saying, you're also a creative. For some people, it could be drama and theater arts. Whatever you are doing, it sort of would be very, very important for you to pour yourself into it. That's the part that cannot be negotiated. Most of the people you see who go far are usually people who pour themselves into their creative journey. But one mark of creative journey is usually that it's unstructured. Creativity, when they say, creative field, you don't write exams in creative field generally. So when they say creative field or creative effort, you are not writing an exam, you are not buying form. You don't buy form to be admitted into a creative university. There are creative universities, there are institutions who are dedicated to such things, but you don't generally do that. So it's very unstructured and there's no barrier to entry. Like Fumi said, you start where you are and you use what you have. So creativity is your passion in a different field or direction that doesn't necessarily require you joining a professional body or being part of a professional membership. At some point in your journey, you may want to do that, but you can start where you are without necessarily demeaning the value placed upon you. So anybody who starts design today can as well call himself that is learning design. There's no certain level he needs to get to for us to now finally say he's truly a designer. If you literally start learning design today, you are qualified to be called a designer. That's how little to no barrier exists in the creative field generally. However, for creativity to really thrive, you need to apply yourself. It's something you need to do. So it's unstructured means that there has to be immense discipline. You have to really dedicate yourself to it. Nobody is going to say if you don't do it, you will not be regarded. I mean, there are external bodies and all, but genuinely and generally, what it means is that if you know you want to pursue a creative direction and you really want to stand out, you have to put in effort. My friend will call it insane level of discipline. You have to hold yourself to a very high standard and say you want to be the best in this, and then you apply yourself. Other than that, you will just be lost in the crowd. You are not the only person thinking of that direction or thinking of that way. The ideas are very, very promiscuous by nature. It's not just you that is having the idea. A lot of people are having it too. So you have to be execution biased and you have to be willing to put in the effort and time to really become good at what you do. That's why if you check music, they are very, very popular musicians. But for all the popular musicians, there are a truckload of others you don't know. People who are still struggling and trying to break into the music industry. For high-end tailors, for high-end dramatists, for high-end whatever field you are in, you know the top line of people that are there. But I'm saying that for all of the best, the la creme that there are incredible number of people who don't make it to the spotlight, who also are not renowned, who are not known at all. So creativity is not going to write the exam for level 14 so you can become level 15 officer tomorrow, like civil service. Creativity is that if you apply yourself, you can close the gap of someone who has been, it's not just about money. So I'm careful not to choreograph you to start thinking about money, but just for an example, someone who is earning probably million and had to write 4 or 5 exams in the banking industry before he started earning million. You can equally earn what the person is earning, all because you are willing to stay up every night and read and practice and dedicate yourself, and probably in the space of 2 years. And then you match up to the same person financially. So my point is that creativity is very unstructured in its approach to mastery. The mastery is what you have to want. There's no system around it that insists this is what you must be to become this. It's an open world. It's how far you can run and how fast you can run. So unlike the non-creative sector or the white-collar sectors, which also creativity can be brought into there too, but generally there are structures, there are processes in place. But for when you are saying you are being creative as a person, you don't necessarily have processes in place. So this helped me define creativity in a restrictive fashion, or reducing it to just my own industry, design and the arts. Creativity is so open-ended. It is what you want to achieve while you are willing to put in the work and dedication. There are people who all they do is just illustration, and they are one of the best in the world. There are people who all they do is they refrain UX writing. I mean, AI is competing for them for their work now. They will have to put up a lot of fights to stay relevant because the times you are in, they are always changing. But I hope that does justice to the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you. And now that you entered into it, I see you checking your time. So I know you have to run quickly. But now that you spoke about it, how does a creative person stay relevant in the midst of AI? Maybe you've mentioned it, but maybe in passing. And then as you round up, you can also tell us, is there a place of, because some young people are like, do I look up to a mentor in the creative sector? Or do I just continue my path, doing my trainings, my professional training myself, upskilling, using every resource that is out there? Did you have any points where maybe there was a mentor you had? So 2 questions, the AI, the mentorship, and then you can give us like your closing words, like whatever you would like to say to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to just take you all down memory lane. Initially, the first experience of technology I had when it comes to typing is that it will correct the wrong words.
Correct.
It will just give you a very rude, red, jarring underline that this is not spelled correct. So grammatical inconsistencies came in later, but first it was words. The words needed to be correct. And then from words, we started having what is called smart autocomplete. So it doesn't just anticipatory responses. It doesn't just correct what has been typed. It started anticipating what will be typed, what you call autocomplete. And then from autocomplete, we started having things like refining your thought process. The things you have written out, things like Grammarly, the things you have written out, bring it. We will point out areas of grammatical inconsistencies and places where your syntax can be smoother. And then from there, we now say, don't even bother to write again. Just give me the idea. I will develop everything for you. So it's a gradient progression. It's a progression, but it's gradient. It started in a very gradual, non-intrusive fashion. And before you know it now, don't worry about writing anything. I will do all the writing, all the polishing, all the structuring. I will do it for you. So gradually you will notice, if you are not careful, you experience what you would call, I mean, because primarily most of the way we interface with AI generally, most people is through the chat paradigm, the chat interface. So you will notice that you are experiencing a cognitive overload, cognitive offload. The things that you are meant to think critically about, you are offloading it to the machine to do it for you. I mean, it's not entirely bad, but it's bad. But we'll come back to that. The part you must be careful about. So my point is to show you that technology is the machine that doesn't rest. It keeps progressing. And I just wanted to show you what most people are conversant with. It keeps progressing. I grew up, I mean, most people here might not, but I grew up seeing a lot of MTN banners in my environment. And then if you want to make calls, you go and buy credit. You buy credit cards. I grew up going to cyber cafe to go and make registration for exams, to go and check results, to check jam scores. So that's the context with which I grew up. And gradually I started realizing most places you see cyber cafes are just now in universities or high traffic areas that probably have academic centers around them. Other than that, you don't see cyber cafes on the streets like you used to before. They are being phased out. Why? Because of the miniaturization of technology and nanotechnology. I mean, phones became smaller, affordable, and accessible. Phones used to be very clunky and very, very expensive. But now, there's a phone for every tax bracket. There's a phone for every kind of money you have. It depends on the quality you are going for. Mass production, specialization, and the world becoming a bit more smaller, globalization, connection, and good travel made movement of goods incredibly easy. Hates to commerce. I'm saying all of this to let you realize that the world is bigger than what we are conscious of, and AI has become an integral part of it. I don't want to go esoteric or technical with this conversation. I mean, this is not a technical meetup, but I'm just letting you know that POS did not used to be a thing, at least in Nigeria. But now there's at least one POS for every 100 meters in Nigeria, everywhere, down to the remotest part, the remote parts of the country. You find POS there. Yeah. POS is the new MTN shirts you find growing up. I'm letting you see that technology, and we are coming down to here, but I'm letting you see how technology affects the economic texture of society. Because POS is a bolt-on service. Easy barrier to entry, not so much of regulatory requirements. And it's a bolt-on service, which means that you can be doing hairdressing at POS by the side. You can be you can be a pharmacist at POS on the side. It's an easy bolt-on service. You can embed it on any service, and it's very agnostic. You don't have to be a finance person to know how to reconcile, because the system will do it for you. And people started using it literally everywhere. It's the same thing with AI. AI is not another passing fad. There are still arguments on top level, are incredibly high up there, tech folks, that whether it's a bubble or not. But that's still a question for later. It's a question out of the scope of this conversation. AI is here to stay. It's everywhere. Even companies that don't need AI will say AI just so they can get funding and raise it. And what does this mean for you? Use it as a tailwind, not as an headwind. Using it as an headwind means you are going against it. So you see people say, no, I don't want to have anything to do with AI. You are deceiving yourself. It's literally it's going to permeate every sector of society. And it's a scaler. It's meant to help you improve your work. It's meant to help you work faster. It's meant to help you refine your processes. So you cannot entirely dismiss it as something irrelevant. You have to actually work hand in hand with it. However, you don't entirely cognitively offload all your thought process, your ability to reason critically and assess issues from a place of depth and reflection to the AI too. Those are the woes we are still going to touch on. So it's not something you can push aside. It's not something you can say, oh, you will not need it or you will not use it at all. But in the same vein, you should not become helplessly dependent on it so that you are not capable of delivering value without AI being your crutch. You know that you shouldn't do that. Those are the woes. It's so good. You are likely to fall into that error or that temptation of cognitive offloading every mentally demanding task to the next chatbot available to you because I mean, it largely is free. You don't have to pay to use most of them. So AI is here to stay. And what that means is that you must learn to engage with technology critically. It's also technology. I am careful to use the word technology because AI is not the end goal. It's AGI. AGI is the end goal or super intelligence.
Mm.
And what that means for you and me is that you will soon realize that it's not just AI. AI is abstract. You have to interface with it to experience it. They are going to soon give AI a body, robotics. It has become incredibly easy now to do robotics. Why? Because you can give it a brain. The body can be built, but now you can give it a brain. And so you notice that there's a race for domestic machineries, robots that can be used in your households, cleaning robots, laundry robots, assistant robots, and all of that. And you must have also heard of dark foundries or dark industries. Dark industries are industries where you don't need human beings to operate. They are usually assemblage industries. They are called dark industry because they can automate 24/7. You know, human beings, you know, when you get pregnant, you ask for leave. When you're angry, you report to your boss. Machines don't get angry. They don't get pregnant. They don't complain. They don't unionize. They don't ask for higher salaries. They are garbage in, garbage out. So capitalists are much more inclined to work with robots than work with human beings. I mean, those are larger arguments about the woes of the unintended consequences of technology. So dark factories are becoming a thing, and they are becoming prominent everywhere now, where they are disintermediating people from the production chain. Now, I'm coming to how this applies to you. So I mentioned dark factories. Everything is being automated now. You go to factories where the assembly, the spraying, the coupling together is being done by machines. And because it is done in a quiet fashion, it can run perpetually. There's no closing time. So a company that usually will have like 2,000 people in store is having maybe 200 machines and just one person coordinating everything. And that one person has shifts. You go, someone else comes over, and then that's it. So dark factories are rising. Also, if you notice, probably in the US, the future is already here, but not evenly distributed. Some people are already experiencing it before we do. Autonomous driving is a thing. Taxi used to be a thing, but there's autonomous driving. One is soon, Waymo is going to be introduced to the UK here, where you can order for rides, ride-hailing services. And human beings also, again, have been disintermediated from that productivity process. Is the machine coming to meet you, taking to where you want to go? There's also what is called autonomous delivery. It's a thing now. You don't, at least I've experienced that one once. People don't deliver your food to you. A four-wheeled robot delivers the food to you in your location. I mean, but they are much more implemented in high trust society. It might take a while before it comes to Nigeria. We know why. So yeah, if you notice again in the delivery process, human beings again have been disintermediated.
Yeah.
Also now even at work, but there was a thing that happened recently at a friend's place of work. When you are going to develop a website, people will help you with the copy. The copy are the text on the website. Someone will help you refine it, fine-tune it, ensure it's your tone of voice, the language speaks to your audience, etc., etc. So much so now that he was let off. Why was he let off? They said we don't. They just take all of the context. This is what we're trying to do. Help us generate. It's the word now. And then the AI does it. He also has been disintermediated from the production process. My point is that as technology keeps advancing, human beings are going to be disintermediated from the production process. And we'll have to keep redefining what productivity is. Is productivity sitting in your laptop, try to do and then delivering result? Or productivity now is just irrespective of the effort you took, is the result that matters. Let me take you back memory lane again. It's a thing where Henry Ford asked, it was a very famous quote. He said, if I had asked people what do you want? Faster, they will have said faster horses instead of cars. And then he brought cars. And the fact that he brought cars means that a lot of people who were doing carting service then had to stop. If you go further again, you would realize that before the mechanization of farming started, it was a thing there where it was just wise for you to have a lot of children, give birth to a lot of children, because automatically you have cheap labor that will be useful when it comes to farming. And it was a very agrarian society. I hope I'm not sounding too academic. It was a thoroughly agrarian society. That was before takeoff to technology became evenly distributed. And you'll notice that even the family structure had to adjust. Why? Because of division of labor. Division of labor came with the portability of money. It was not just cow. It was not by barter again. And so portability and sustainability, there was a better way to keep money that it will not get spoiled. It was not just yam and cowries and cows. We were keeping things that could outlive us and could be transferred to one generation to another. And so it affected how the family unit was set up. It also affected the number of children we were giving birth to. I'm just pointing to you how technological advancement affects all the facets of our life. The same thing is going to happen with AI and quantum computing. I need to ask me about quantum computing, but AI is here to stay. It's not a fad. It's not a passing fad. It's not like Web3. If you know, you must have known about crypto, that is still indefinite. It's not augmented reality that is not mature, that Meta is trying to get into. It's not all of that, all of those adjacent conversations going on in tech. It is being used and being deployed because of the barrier to entry is non-existent. You don't need to buy an expensive gadget like a VR headset to experience virtual reality. AI meets you where you are.
Where you are.
And it is something every businesses are uncovering a lot of value instantly. So what I mean by that is not something businesses are placing a bet on and saying that let's see how it goes. They are literally uncovering a lot of value. That's why you hear of massive tech layoff going on from time to time, that people are being replaced by agents. So autonomous acting software that operates on our devices. So things like call centers, human repetitive actions that sort of have a structure to them. Lawyers, no lawyers should attack me, please. Lawyers, teaching, customer, even down to customer care. So it's making some of our initial work we did in school obsolete. That's why I keep saying academic is not just what you did in school, is not what you probably run with. Typewriting used to be a thing then. People usually go and learn how to become typists because computers were expensive and out of reach for most people, and the only means of communicating primarily were through typing for official and very rich people, or official purposes and then rich people. So there were actually people who were typists. That's what they were learning in school. How many people gain admission to higher institutions just to go and become typists now? It's to let you know, and how many people even know shorthand? It's to let you know careers are also adjusting. Everything morphs in the direction of technology. Everything, again, it's a gradient. It's usually not sudden, but you start realizing that some of the ways we order our lives, some of the actions we take, some of our production processes, some of our productivity rituals adjust based on the changes in technology. What does this mean for you and for me?
Yes, as a creative especially.
What does this mean for you? You cannot fight it. You have to work hand in hand with it. Trying to fight it is, like I said, is headwind. The wind is blowing at your face, and then you are sailing directly into it. You are going to move slowly on the sea. It has to be your tailwind. It's meant to actually blow you and help you move faster to your destination. It's meant to be an accelerant to your goal, to your passion. And it also means that you cannot hide behind supervision. You have to carry value as a person. What makes you better than a ChatGPT? You have to carry value as a person. There must be insights you can uncover. You must be able to synthesize data in such a way that is uniquely human and uniquely valuable to whoever is on the recipient. And this is why you also cannot slow down. The machine cannot be wiser than you with condensed information. And this is why you also have to now have the growth mindset. All of the things we have been saying tracks back to everything we are saying here now, even as I'm about to conclude that you cannot have a fixed mindset. The world is moving fast. The grounds are shifting. We're in a kaleidoscopic state of affairs. Everything is changing so fast and so violently. You cannot afford to be left on the sideline observing, saying you know how the world works. No, everybody's figuring things out. So you must be very comfortable with uncertainty. You must have a growth mindset, and you must be very intentional. You must also ensure you are around high achievers, people who are doing incredible feats, people who are achieving. It sort of rubs off on you. Success leaves traits. And this ties into the conversation of should you have mentors? Sometimes one of the accessible mentors you are going to have are going to be your peers, your friends. People who are like-minded, you would you will keep galvanizing each other. You will keep encouraging each other. It will rub off on yourself. It's mutually reinforcing traits. My friend just my friend just got promoted at work. Oh, this person just, and as your friends keep achieving, they bring home the reality of how possible it is to be something. When you say, the fool me that I know just bought a Tesla, it makes you realize that it is not,
Amen.
it is not an unreachable goal. It is possible. This girl sleeps like I sleep, or probably sleep more than I sleep. And then she's still able to achieve this. It drives home how possible things are for you. And that's why your environment matters. And when I mean your environment, I don't just mean your literal environment. Some of you might not be fortunate enough to live in your environment yet. It's fine. I mean your environment as per how you curate the people around you, what you feed on. I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker, but what you feed on, you are literally what you carry. So what you feast on, what are you reading? Are you reading people doing incredible stuffs? Are you seeing people scaling the heights? Are you seeing people who are actual high achievers? Who are the people you follow online? I mean, you might actually know the latest bands, kudos. But who are the people you follow online? What are you surrounded by? Those are the realities. You cannot aspire to a reality you are not exposed to. And so someone has to inject that reality in you. And that's why I said the most accessible mentor you have early is going to be your peers. And your peer means that you have to find yourself around people who really, really want to move the needle, who want to make sense and meaning out of this life that they have. And people who want to contour the world, who want to enforce and impose their own perspective on the world. I mean, the door handle I used today, someone decided that's how it's going to be designed.
Yeah.
And because he decided that's how it's going to be designed, that's what I use every day. So things like that, people impose themselves on the world, and he says this is how I want things to be, and everybody around them adjusts and agrees to it. So Flutterwave, it was not a company that just sprang out of nowhere. Someone decided I want to have a company that will be doing payment processing in Nigeria, and that's how it started. And if you want to do payment processing, instead of using Flutterwave or Paystack, if you say you don't like the two, you'll have to go and do yours for you to have an alternative. So people impose themselves on the world and insist that this is how they want to do things, and everybody falls in line. Those are the kind of people you want to be surrounded by. Those are the kind of people you want to look out for. And to a large extent, those are the kind of people your friends too should be looking out for. It's a mutual reinforcing trait. You reach out to people to mentor, a lot of them will ghost you. I mean, some out of terrible nature, and others out of the fact that their tables are full and they would rather not want to add to it. So you have to be internally motivated. Internal locus of motivation and control should not be outsourced. It's not just something you relinquish to somebody else. It has to be something you have full control over. That is one. And then number two, at some point, when you start to make progress in your career, people will be willing to mentor you. People most times and in most cases will mentor you when they notice that you are someone who is going somewhere. It's more or less a technical saying from a friend. She will say we invest on the slope, not on the intercept. So sorry. Well, what that means is that we invest on the direction you are going. That's why we come close and get to know you. It's not because of who you are now, but when you say slope, the trajectory you are going on is the reason why we want to be part of your story and your journey. We don't invest in intercept, meaning we don't invest because of who we are seeing now, definitively. Who we are seeing now is evolving, is a journey. You're on a journey, you're on motion, and we want to be part of that motion. We want to be carried along. We want to make your journey easy because you know that when you succeed, we also succeed by association. So you will find mentors easily when you're on a slope, not at an intercept. Or at an intersect. It's usually not that. I hope I'm not too technical with my.
No, please go ahead.
It's usually not that straightforward. Another thing I like to say is that at some point, you necessarily may not need to look for mentors. It's part of the things where we said you must learn to take initiative. You must be execution bias. Learn to take actions. Don't just wait for things to be fine. You'll be very comfortable with not having clarity. You must be very comfortable when things are not clear, knowing that it is when you take actions that clarity will come. So you don't wait and say that until someone mentors you before you start taking action. That's suicidal. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Nobody will in fact mentor you. Most people who have been helped are people who most likely don't even need it. There are people who, in the core sense of it, without that help, they will have gotten to where they are going because they are unstoppable forces. There are people who carry a fire internally inside them and they know exactly who they are going to become. And there's usually a trait between unstoppable force and immovable object. One has to yield. So there are a lot of instances in life where you will need a lot of help. But before you even call for it, people will be more than willing to help you. But before you get there, you must be someone who also has shown not just potentials, but results that you can be self-directed. You can make much with little. And irrespective of the circumstance you find yourself in life, you cannot always make even flowers blossom from a rocky soil. I'm saying this because while I was in St. Matthias, a lot of friends, again, sometimes it's easy to say these things in retrospect because you see clearly when you look back. It's not that I knew that I was going to make money after service. I just loved what I was doing. That's why I said passion. Passion makes it easy for you to forbear a lot of things that ordinarily you would grumble at. Things that ordinarily will make you snap or make you check out. I was earning 1,000 in a school, but I love teaching and I love the students. There were a set of fine problems on two legs. That's what I used to call them. And there were problems waiting to be solved. I needed to understand each of them and how I can make you love maths. I took it upon myself, you will love maths. And nobody told me. I started buying sweets from what they were giving me. And I just realized that children are naturally competitive. They did not like maths because of me. They like maths because they wanted to prove to the next lady on the seat that you don't have to wait. I can equally get the sweets next in class. And they started reading in class and their parents were like, Tunde came home. He didn't go out to play football. He came home and started learning indices by himself. Wow. Even before the lesson teacher came home. The lesson teacher had to ask that, did he get a new maths teacher? And then gradually, it was a thing of, we want Mr. Lee's suite. And before you know it, Mr. Lee's name became an household name. And during PTA, teachers mentioned that a lot of parents were saying, please, before we finish meeting, we want to ask, who is Mr. Lee? That's the name we hear now in our house. Everybody wants sweet. And everybody wants sweet. Other than we don't want our children on sweets, it shouldn't spoil their gum. We just want to know why these children come home and they want to solve maths because the next day in class, I will say, this is my MVP for today, and this is your award, a pack of sweet, lollipop. I gave them a pack of lollipop. I was broke. So I never knew that would make the school increase my salary from 1,000 to 3,000. I never knew. I also never knew that deciding to stay in the school and teach when I had better offers, or I could literally just ghost my PPA. I will come back and need a class to teach Microsoft Office. A class that if I were to rent it, all the profits, all the margins I made, all my top line margins, all my profits will not have been possible because I will have spent it in renting a building to teach. Made them give me free of charge. Giving me free of charge means that I got to keep literally all the money I was collecting. So I'm saying that activities and actions in life are not in isolation. If you really know you want to go somewhere, you have to act. Act even when there isn't clarity yet. Act knowing that in your action, you'll find clarity. Like I said, results are data points. You get to know if what I did makes sense or it doesn't make sense, and then you refine. So it's easy to look back and explain all of those processes. But if you had asked me when I started, did I know? No, I don't. But the world runs on principles. If you are diligent, it runs on principles and value exchange. We like people who have value to offer. Only your mother or probably your dad will love you for who you are, irrespective of the value you bring. The world won't. So it runs on value exchange. You get value for the value you bring. And so you must make yourself a valuable person. So you perpetually, constantly, consistently, and continuously have value to offer, irrespective of where you are. I have to run now. I have overstayed my welcome.
Oh my, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, I would leave you and I will just speak to the audience too, picking up what you mentioned about communities and the people around you. And so this webinar series is also brought to you in collaboration with POST-NYSC, which is an organization that is targeted at upskilling youth corps members. So you can check out their webpage, check them out on LinkedIn, follow them, plug yourself into communities that will also help you get to where you want to be. And we will also bring to you a lot of resources, a lot of communities of practice where they are focused on different career paths that you can easily plug into and keep building yourself for your future. Thank you so much, Mr. Leye. You said it all. I will not recap. I'm sure that as people listen, they will also have the replays that you can watch. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Much for your wisdom, and wishing you a great rest of the evening.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye. Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for giving your time, for watching, for listening. We hope that you have learned a lot. I have learned a lot, and I hope that you can see that from what you have learned, You can go now, you can go today, and you can begin to apply. You can begin to, if you're still serving in NYSC, you can already begin to upskill yourself. You can begin to look for the information that will help you take it to your next. You can be committed to the work you are doing presently, even as a creative, even while serving. You already heard from Mr. Leah's story, how being diligent in the work you're doing now could even open the door into the next thing that you can do. So thank you very much once again, and have a great time. Thank you so much, and bye.